I want to tell you another little story. And by the way, I'm in Bowmanville right now, and I'm at Burke Steiner's pub. There was a time, I mean, for old guys like me, I remember when we was much younger, like 40 years ago. Bars and pubs were very separated from restaurants, and you couldn't take your kids to a bar or a pub. But nowadays, the lines have completely blurred, and every restaurant has a bar, every bar pretty much has a pub. And so, if you're the non-alcoholic type like myself, you probably still always feel this kind of a weird thing about being in a bar or a pub. But it's been this kind of a normal for 20 years. Anyway, I happen to love the shrimp tacos at Burke Steiner. They are just killer. And I want to tell you, you won't even break the bank. You probably got enough small change in your wallet to cover it. So, listen, the story is like this. I think that there's so many ways in our world, in our sphere, the people that we are surrounded by, that right in our own community we can do these kinds of things that make a difference in people's lives. And the way that happens is quietly and discreetly. Now, I did a bit back called The Good That Money Can Do, and I'm going to call this The Good That Money Can Do Part 2. You see, it's like this. We go through our entire lives looking at the fabulously wealthy and wonder why there's any poverty in the world. Wonder why there's anybody hungry in the world. And it's true. If in every town and in every country, every fabulously wealthy person separated themselves with a good sized percentage of what they make and just basically cover the rent of all of the struggling young families in town, or just cover all of the grocery bills. There's always that kind of a stigma about people living in challenged circumstances, that if you give them money, they're just going to go and drink it. But I know that that's not true. In fact, people who have genuine needs, like kids that need to be fed at home, they've lost their job, or the two-income household has become one through circumstances that they had no control of. And even on the welfare state, there's families that have nothing to do with alcohol or drugs. They're just really challenged. And some of them are hungry. Some of them are thirsty. Some of them need clothes to wear. But I digress. The whole idea that we look to the fabulously wealthy to solve all those problems. And we also want to look at our governments, who, in my view, it's incumbent on them to, for the large part, take care of those needs. But they can't do everything. And for many of them, it's overwhelming because they have expertise, but they don't have all the answers. So it's just always been a thing of mine that you can't solve all the world's problems everywhere all the time. Nobody really can. But sometimes we come across an occasion, an incident. We cross paths with somebody who has a need, and we have the ability, as I like to say, to remove the boulder from their path. We come across that that sheep in the field who's unfortunately got turned upside down and can't right themselves. Have you ever seen those videos? Sheep fall over, and because of the gases in their system, they get off balance, and their feet are up in the air and they can't turn themselves over. They can suffocate to death like that. So the good shepherd comes along and rights them. Well, we often come across people who have come up against a boulder in the path, a road that's broken, and we can fix that little problem. That problem to you or me is a little problem. To them, it's a mountain. It's a complete stop. The game is over. They're going nowhere. Now, all we need to do is just say, I will. And we could solve that problem and move on and forget about it. And that person will thank us for the rest of their lives. And that's a crazy funny thing, because I know people and you know people. We all know people like this who, they're not fabulously wealthy, but they do well in life. And part of the ways that they do well is they're excellent savers. And when they save, they're excellent investors, or they get good advice and they do the right things. And they also are very careful, perhaps so careful that they don't part with any of the money that they make or earn over the years. And they look at the unfortunate as they didn't make the right decisions. They didn't get the right advice, but somehow they fell through the cracks, and woe is me. I know people like that who enjoy incredible blessings in life. And to be able to lean into somebody's life, like a single mom who is really struggling with groceries. And she's a good mom and she really works hard, but she just doesn't make enough. And she's going to a food bank or whatever. Who are you in that situation? Who are you? Who am I? Who are we? Can we adopt somebody? Let's forget about solving all of the homeless problems on the 6 blocks in the downtown neighborhood where everybody's kind of out there by themselves. It's insurmountable, it seems. How about taking that one person and adopting them under our wing and say, yeah, we could certainly afford to part with $200 every month. Let's get it together with this woman or man or family or whoever or individual. And if we need to, let's talk to them and let's say, okay, we're not about giving out cash, but what we are doing is we can give you credits. We can give you some method of reward or some method of redeeming that they can simply go to that grocery store or their local whoever to get supplies. And we can arrange with that organization to get the bill every month. And for that one family that we bless, we can change their life. And it's not just about food. It might be running shoes or pants for the kids for school, backpacks. It might be lunches for kids at school. Do you see my point? What I'm getting at? And I'm no hero. God knows I've had my ups and downs and I've had my difficulties. But no matter when those times are, good or bad, I always try to find that small way that I can help or bless somebody along my path. And I don't want to draw attention to myself, so I won't tell specific stories, but I'll just say there have been quite a few occasions, and it means little or nothing to me. I can forget about it in a moment, but to the person or persons that were recipients, it changes their life. And some of them are so motivated by it that they go on to become successful at some point doing something, and they become givers instead of hoarders. And I don't mean the proverbial hoarders that have houses full of junk. You know, that's another whole story. If you're one of those, you need help, okay? I'm talking about financial hoarders, people who make it, hang on to it, and can't part with a dime of it. I have been friends with people that I've known in the art business who do extremely well, and been in close proximity to somebody in need, or a charity that is a well-known charity asking for donations. And I know one specific person in particular who has the wherewithal to change many lives and just never ever gives anything to anybody. And it breaks my heart. But it also, I feel, robs them of the joy of that $50 gift every week or every month or whatever. Robs them of that ability to do something good in the world. So I want to put this challenge out to you, whoever you are. When you come across a need and you know you might be a billionaire, a millionaire, you might be a thousandaire, who knows, 100aire maybe. Whatever it is you have, on whatever level you have it, I want us to think about the challenge of what we have and what we can use it for, what we can do with it to make a difference in somebody's life in our path, in our circle. And I want to challenge you to follow through. Do it. Now, you don't have to tell me about it publicly. You don't have to tell anybody about it. It's almost always better to keep these things in secret. Does that verse in the Bible say that God blesses those in public who give privately, discreetly, quietly, without trying to draw attention to themselves? That's the principle that I'm talking about. And he knows who gives, and he knows who doesn't. And I could go on and on. I want to say I think Warren Buffett has all the attention Warren Buffett needs, but it needs to be said that in the twilight of his life, when he knows the heart is winding down and the days are numbered, the wealthiest man on the planet has taken on the challenge of giving away every dime that he has before he dies. And just watching this interview the other day of him talking about it, and how even though he's generically saying that he's doing this, but he's not mentioning the charities or the people or the organizations that he's giving to, but you can see the joy on his face that he's able to do it. All the way down to little you and me who can make a $50 difference or a $100 difference in somebody's life in our world. Well, it's a thought, but if you have thoughts about it, why don't you tell me some of your thoughts in the comments? I'd love to read yours and respond to yours. And don't mention names, please. Don't Don't talk about people in specific or organizations, but just talk to me about how joyful giving is to you. And if you're somebody who's challenged about it and doesn't know if you should or not, tell me why you feel that way so that we can all understand the struggle a little bit more and get over it and maybe get on with it so that somebody else in our world can be blessed.